Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back. We are talking about state and local government at this time. Hope you guys had a great spring break. Welcome back. Those who are in person, I hope that you are getting along. If you have any questions, obviously, just raise your hand and I'll be around to help you out. Today, we are talking about our state government, which is Virginia. And the Virginia as well asks about what the structure of any government is. So we've talked about the federal structure. And once we start talking about the Virginia structure, you kind of see the similarities between the two. Virginia structure of government comes from its constitution, just like the federal government. So in this case, we look at the Virginia Constitution distributes power amongst all three branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. Being that the legislative branch, again, is the lawmaking body of the government. The legislative branch houses what we call the General Assembly. Now, when we look at the General Assembly, it is considered a bicameral legislature. Bicameral legislature. The House of Delegates and the Virginia Senate. So that's the name of the two. If we were to compare this to the federal government, we would compare it to Congress with the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. So that's what the difference is. We call it the House of Delegates in Virginia, and we call it the Virginia Senate. Virginia legislative branch consists of two houses collectively in the General Assembly. So the Virginia Senate has 40 members. Those 40 members serve a 4-year term each, and is presided over by what we call the lieutenant governor. So if we looked at the structure of the federal level, we would see that the vice president oversees the Virginia Senate. So in this case, the lieutenant governor in Virginia oversees the Senate. So it's the second in charge next to the governor. So we have the governor, then we have the lieutenant governor. So that's where we get this idea from. So the Virginia General Assembly is located in Richmond. Some of you may have been here, some of you may not have. So this is a inside look at the Senate chamber itself. This is where they would all meet. And then we talk about the delegates, the House of Delegates. Delegates have 100 members. They serve 2-year term, and they're presided over by the Speaker of the House. Similar key concept to the federal level. The Speaker is the member of the majority party, so whatever party has the most seats, that person is in charge, just like at the federal level as well. So here is the House of Delegates. View from the Speaker's seat. And here are the three leaders. Virginia Speaker of the House is Ellen Fillmore. Lieutenant Governor is Justin Fairfax. And the President pro tem, which is the other person they would take charge if the Lieutenant Governor was not there, is Louise Lucas. All Democrats, and we can see that that's very similar to the federal level, where not only is the Speaker, because that's based off of majority seats, but also the Lieutenant Governor and the President pro tem. Section 3. Section 3 talks about the functions of the legislative branch, and there's 4 primary functions that the legislative branch uses to make sure that things are happening the way they need to happen. First, we look at education. Education's idea is to promote and inform and engage citizens, or citizenry, as that says, and establishes the local standards for all the local schools. So if we look back at, like, I'm going to go back real quick, the top, where it says SOL 7A, this is coming from our State Department that says that we need to teach you guys these materials. So, not only education, but also public health. Public health is to promote and protect the health of its citizens. So, we fund health benefits in the state of Virginia. They talk about how the federal government helped get out the vaccines um, for COVID-19. Those kind of things are taken care of at this state level. Then we look at environment. And environment is to protect the natural resources. Specifically, one of the big ones that you guys may be involved in or have seen involvement in is the improved water quality in the Chesapeake Bay. Chesapeake Bay is a huge, huge thing for our ecosystem, but not only just our ecosystem, but also for a lot of people who make their living on the water. And without the improving of water quality in the Chesapeake Bay, we wouldn't have some of the great things that we have in this area, wildlife-wise. The legislative branch also sets to approve, approve the biannual, so every 2 years, budget that is prepared by the governor himself or herself, as well as levying and collecting taxes. So the legislative branch is in charge of those things as well. So the four primary issues: education, public health, environment, and state budget. Section 4, lawmaking. So members of the Virginia General Assembly are elected to make laws. All citizens can learn the importance of individuals' participation in the policymaking process through direct participation and simulations. Letter B has been on the SOL, all the practice SOLs that we are able to give students, and I wouldn't doubt if it continues to be on the SOL. They, as the General Assembly and the Virginia SOL Commission group, Virginia Educators Association, all those different people that are in charge of SOLs, so the standards of learning, want you to know that the importance of your participation is huge. And how we learn that is through direct participation or different simulations that we do within the classroom. Now, if we were in class, we would have different debates, we would talk about different things, and that's your direct participation in the idea of what goes on in not only our school, but in our state as well. So, how does a bill become a law? It's very similar to the federal level. We propose the bill, they work on it in committees, they debate about it, they vote on it, and it's then signed. So it's very, very similar to the federal level. One of the big things that is different, or probably the only thing that really is different, is that you'll recognize is that it's signed by the governor versus signed by the president. So we know that elected officials write laws and take action in response to problems or issues that occur, and these can come from either large interest groups or it can come from you guys as individuals, so members of Virginia's citizenry. One of the big things that we take a look at is the idea that there are some laws that have been passed because people have wrote their congressman, wrote their delegate, wrote their Virginia senator and said, look, this is what's going on in our locality, specifically, let's say just Fredericksburg or King George or Spotsy, Stafford, and we need laws to help change these issues. And so when we as individuals take action, then the elected officials listen a little more when it comes to things that need to be changed. I think that that's a big, big way that we can see a shaping or a changing in our government, is to start at the local level or the state level. So let me look at state executive. State executive has the governor. The governor serves a 1 4-year term and also has a cabinet under them that help him or her serve out their term and oversee specific functions within the government as well. So we call it the governor of Virginia, and that's pictured down at the bottom is the governor's mansion or the estate for the governor during the time. So the lieutenant governor is another position, and so is the attorney general within the executive branch. Those are officers that are elected every 4 years, or a 4-year term. Currently, your governor in Virginia is Ralph Northam, and your lieutenant governor is Justin Fairfax. You should have heard Ralph Northam's name several times during the last year because he is constantly on the news talking about different things that are going on in Virginia or within Virginia about the mask mandates, restaurant numbers, all those things. That he's the individual. So the governor is the individual who makes sure that when we make these announcements, that they are making those announcements. I think it's very, very key to understand who our people are and just kind of recognize them if you see them. Um, Probably won't see them out in public, but you might see them in a news article or in a video that comes up. So, what's the function at the state level for the executive? So, the governor's main idea or main function is to exercise the formal powers granted by the Constitution. Um, the governor does this with formal and informal powers, but the primary things that we look at are like those many hats the president wears. The governor has chief of state, chief legislator, chief administrator, party chief, and commander in chief. And some of you might say, well, wait a minute, wait. Commander in chief, isn't that the president's job? And while it is, we do want to take note that this is the commander in chief of the National Guard within the state of Virginia. Okay. So these different roles that the governor has are similar again to the chiefs that the president has. So, along with that, there are also cabinet secretaries, departments, agencies, commissions, regulatory boards that help do four very primary things: administer laws, enforce the laws, regulate business and economy, as well as provide services for the members of that state. And in Virginia specifically, the cabinet helps the governor understand specifics that are going on within the state. And that's big to kind of note is that, again, just like at the federal level, the president doesn't know every single thing that is out there. It's almost impossible. That's why they has people in those departments, in those agencies, in those commissions that help them throughout their 4-year term. So, what is the qualifications, or what are the qualifications to be governor? You must be a U.S. citizen, live in the state that you represent, and for Virginia, you have to be in Virginia for at least 5 years. So you have to be a 5-year resident at a minimum, and then you have to be at least 30 years old or older. So the governor can also influence public policy through several different ways. They can propose new legislation, carry out laws within the state specifically, veto laws passed by the General Assembly. So again, the veto power, and then they approve the state budget. And just like the president, the governor of every state is expected to give a yearly address to the public, and that is called, in Virginia, we call it the State of the State Address. So, what is the state, or what is the overall idea, or what's happening in the state that the people need to know? Term is a 4-year term, and they actually, which is really kind of interesting. This is an interesting fact to end us out for today, is that they cannot serve consecutive terms. So they cannot serve back-to-back terms. However, they can serve more than one term. So that's something that's unique about Virginia's governor. And then one final vocab word that I'm going to throw out to you guys is the word gubernatorial. It's funny. Gubernatorial race is the type of election that the governor goes through during the race for governor. So I hope that you guys did your Ed puzzle just fine. If you have any questions, as always, don't hesitate to reach out. And you guys know that this is wrapping up the state. We'll wrap up the local next time I talk to you guys. And then we'll jump into economics, and we're kind of wrapping up the school year. I hope you guys are doing well again. Don't ever hesitate to contact me. And you guys know that you need to be kind to everybody because it's really important. Take care.